Hello friends, we had seen various tools and techniques regarding how to read the data and analyze it with the help of some basic tools in the last videos like Pareto chart, fishbone diagram, scatter diagram, correlation and regression, histogram and control chart. Every tool I had mentioned will be come in picture once the data collection is completed. The power of these tools is effective only when the collection of data is effective, and therefore in this video I am going to explain very simple but the most important data collection techniques without which you cannot analyze the data effectively. This effective data collection not only reduces the efforts but also time to achieve the sustainable results. At this point of time, we know the types of data and applicable tools in particular type of data. If you want to refresh it, simply visit this playlist for related videos. So let's begin the learning of these techniques. Data collection techniques. Information you gather can come from a range of sources. Likewise, there are a variety of techniques to use when the gathering primary data. Listed below are some of the most common data collection techniques. First, interviews. In-depth interviews include both individual interviews, example, one-on-one, as well as group interviews. The data can be recorded in a wide variety of ways, including stenography, audio recording, video recording, or written notes. In interviews, it is assumed that there is a questioner and one or more interviews. The purpose of the interview is to probe the ideas of the interviews about the phenomena of interest. 2. Surveys or questionnaires. Surveys or questionnaires are used for the collecting data in survey research. They usually include a set of standardized questions that explore a specific topic and collect information about demographics, opinions, attitudes, or behaviors. 3. Observations. This can be done directly or indirectly with the subject knowing or unaware that you are observing them. You may choose to collect data through continuous observation or via set time periods depending on your project. 4. Case studies. A case study is usually an in-depth description of a process, experience, or structure at a single institution. In order to answer a combination of what and why questions, case studies generally involve a mix of quantitative, for example, surveys, usage statistics, etc., and qualitative, for example, interviews, focus group, etc., data collection techniques. Most often, the researcher will analyze quantitative data first and then use qualitative strategies to look deeper into the meaning of the trends identified in the numerical data. And 5. Checklist. They can be simple list of criteria that can be marked as present or absent, or can provide space for observer comments. These tools can provide consistency over time or between observers. Checklists can be used for evaluating databases or for structuring peer observations of instruction sessions. The collected data from above techniques need to be structured so that analysis of the data will be very easy with simple analysis tools. I am going to explain two such tools used to structure data. Let's see one by one. The first tool is stratification. Stratification is a technique used in combination with other data analysis tools. When data from a variety of sources or categories have been lumped together, the meaning of the data can be impossible to see. This technique separates the data so that patterns can be seen. When to use stratification? 1. Before collecting data. 2. When data came from several sources or conditions such as shifts, days of the week, suppliers, or population group. And 3. When data analysis may require separating different sources or conditions. Now let's see the stratification procedure. 1. Before collecting data, consider which information about the sources of data might have an effect on the results. Set up the data collection so that you collect that information as well. 2. When plotting or graphing the collected data on a scatter diagram, control chart, histogram, or other analysis tool, use different marks or different colors to distinguish data from various sources. Data that are distinguished in this way are said to be stratified. 3. Analyze the subset of stratified data separately. For example, on a scatter diagram, where data is stratified into data from source 1 and data from source 2, draw quadrants, count points, and determine the critical value only for the data from source 1 and then only for the data from source 2. Stratification example. A manufacturing team drew a scatter diagram to test whether product purity and ion contamination were related, but the plot did not demonstrate a relationship. Then a team member realized that the data came from 3 different reactors. The team member redrew the diagram using a different symbol for each reactor data. Now pattern can be seen. The data from reactor 2 and reactor 3 are circled. Even without doing any calculation, it is clear that for those 2 reactors, purity decreases as ion increases. However, the data from reactor 1, the solid dots that are not circled, do not show that relationship. Something is different about reactor 1. Stratification considerations. Here are some of the examples of different sources that might require data to be stratified, like equipment, shifts, departments, materials, suppliers, day of the week, time of the day, or maybe products. Survey data usually benefit from stratification. Always consider before collecting data whether stratification might be needed during analysis. Plan to collect stratification information. After the data collected, it might be too late. On your graph or chart, include a legend that identifies the marks or colors used. Now the second tool is checksheet. It is also called as defect concentration diagram. A checksheet is structured, prepared form for collecting and analyzing data. This is a generic tool that can be adapted for a wide variety of purposes. Now let's see when to use a checksheet. When data can be observed and collected repeatedly by the same person or at the same location. When collecting data on a frequency or patterns of events, problems, defects, defect location, defect causes, etc. And when collecting data from a production process. Now let's see the procedure to create a checksheet. 1. Decide what event or problem will be observed. Develop operational definitions for that. 2. Decide when data will be collected and for how long. 3. Design the form. Set it up so that data can be recorded simply by making check marks or similar symbols, and so that data do not have to be recopied for analysis. 4. Label all spaces on the form. 5. Test the checksheet for a short period of time to be sure it collects the appropriate data and is very easy to use. 6. Each time the targeted event or problem occurs, record data on the checksheet. Now let's see this tool with a practical example. The figure below shows a checksheet used to collect the data on telephone interruptions. The tick marks were added as data was collected over several weeks. For references, I have taken it from the SQ site, as it is one of the best training material available regarding the subject. Now, share this video in your entire group to improve their life at professional level, so that they can start using these useful techniques to have a small improvement in an industry, state, country, and thereby a world. And finally, thank you for watching.